Hi, my name's Professor Deborah Davis. I'm the Professor of Midwifery with the University of Canberra in Australia. In this session we're just going to check on how you went with the calculation of a relative risk, and we've just got one example. So let's open it up. Okay, so this study was looking at place of birth. So that's the exposure, and the outcome was caesarean section. So it wanted to investigate whether planned birth at home, that looks like the treatment, compared to a birth centre birth for low risk women, was good at preventing caesarean section. So in total this study recruited 4698 low risk women, and we have 1826 women in the home birth group, the experimental group, Group A, and we had 2872 in Group B. They're the birth centre group, or the control group. So now when we look at the outcome, which is caesarean section, we need to put in here how many caesarean sections there were in Group A. So we can see here that there were 47 in Group A who had a caesarean section. We can work out how many didn't have a caesarean section by taking the 47 away from the total here, and that's 1779. Okay, so how many women in the birth centre group had a caesarean section? And we can see here it's 91. So let's put that number in this cell. And similarly we'll work out how many didn't have a caesarean section by taking that number away from 2872. You get 282781. Okay, that's good. Good start. So you'll recall that we have a bit of a different formula for relative risk rather than odds ratio. So these letters refer to the cells, and we have A over A plus B. So that will be this cell, 47, divided by this cell, the A plus B, which is 1826. And that whole thing is divided by C, divided by C plus D. So this figure that we'll work out, this part of the equation is also known as the experimental event rate, because it's how often the event happened in the experimental group. And this CER is the control event rate. How often did the event happen in the control group? But let's put our numbers in. So we're going here, 47, and we're dividing that by A plus B, which is the 1826. If we do that calculation, I round to about 3 decimal points, 0.026. Then the next part is this bit, C divided by C plus D. So C is 91 and C plus D is 2872. Remember, the rounding is important if you want to get exactly the same number as me. If you do this calculation, 0.032. Now what we've got left to do is that divided by that. Let's put in the numbers here. And if you do that calculation and round it to 3 decimal points, you should get this result, 0.81. So you've calculated a relative risk here. The relative risk is 0.81, and what does that mean? So it means that those planning a home birth have less risk of the outcome, which is caesarean section. They have less risk because this relative risk is less than 1. Oops. There we are. How much less risk? We need to take that 0.81 away from 1. So that gives us about 0.19, which is 19%. So you could say that the women planning to have their babies at home had about 19% less risk of a caesarean section compared to their counterparts who were planning to have their baby in a birth centre. Now this result did come out of an actual study, so let's have a look. This was a study that I did in New Zealand looking at mode of birth by planned place of birth. We calculated a crude relative risk because the adjusted one is a lot more complicated to calculate and we'd need a computer for that and a program. So let's go down our crude relative risk column, and we were looking at the outcome of an emergency caesarean section, which you can see here, and we were comparing women who were planning to have their babies with those who were planning to have their babies in a primary unit, a home birth or a primary unit. So you can see the relative risk here, 0.81. So I had to pay a statistician a lot of money to work that one out, and you've been able to do it in a few short minutes with your worksheet. Thank you very much for participating.